This is TJ Lane, who was convicted for killing 3 of his fellow high school students with no conscience whatsoever. On February 27, 2012, 6 students were shot at Chardon High School in Chardon, Ohio, resulting in the deaths of 3 of them. The suspect was Thomas TJ Lane, a 17-year-old male juvenile and former student of Chardon High. Lane was soon arrested by police near his car parked outside the school and was ultimately indicted on 3 counts of aggravated murder, 2 counts of aggravated attempted murder, and 1 count of felonious assault. Later that month, the decision was made to charge Lane as an adult. He pled guilty and received 3 life sentences without the possibility of parole. As TJ enters the room, you'll notice that when he sits down, he begins to unbutton his shirt. Despite what seems to be against his lawyer's advice, TJ continues unbuttoning his shirt. Take a look at the t-shirt and what's written on his chest. Killer. TJ's personality and absolute lack of conscience are clear to see with his final statement towards the victims' families.
Same pull the trigger that killed your son, masturbates in memory of you.
That was just a small example of the sick mind behind Thomas TJ Lane.
All right, please. That's all your client has to say, Mr. Creed.
Luckily, the victims' families got their opportunity to say their piece back to TJ Lane.
I hate you for the pain you have caused, Nick. You chased him down the hall and fired the last bullet that paralyzed him.
Notice how he smiles and smirks during their victim statements.
Things I was looking forward to, I will never get to see. My baby brother graduate high school, go to college, graduate college, get married, have children. I will never be an aunt, and my children will never know their uncle.
He was a mere baby, my baby. That murderer could have never been a fraction of the man Danny was going to be. He doesn't deserve to breathe the air that I breathe.
That child stole my baby's life, and he should never be able to do this to anyone ever again.
Amazingly, even despite TJ being incarcerated, he escaped prison a year after he was sentenced with another inmate.
Today, after a daring escape overnight, TJ Lane climbed a prison fence last night with 2 prison inmates.
He did scale our perimeter fence, and again, this is an ongoing investigation.
TJ Lane was on the loose, and the police weren't taking any chances.
Just spoke with one of the corrections officers. He advised that the 2 that we're trying to track down are both doing life. Maybe I've nothing to lose here, so be alert.
Having seen TJ's antics during his trial and sentencing, the police knew what they were up against and quickly apprehended him.
Which inmate? I believe it's a young one. TJ Lane. He's in custody.
The facts are, I'm happy to announce that we have Mr. Lane back in our custody.
This is Nicholas Lindsay, who on February 21st, 2011, in Tampa Bay, shot and murdered police officer David Crawford. Crawford was responding to a call of a suspicious person near Tropicana Field late that night. When Officer Crawford arrived to the scene, he spotted Nicholas Lindsay and approached. Next, a fellow officer, Donald Ziegler, heard and reported an exchange of gunfire on his radio.
Quarter B, I got shots fired over here. Shots fired. I got an officer shot. 4th Avenue South. Tell him to step it up.
Ziegler arrived to find Crawford lying near his cruiser. He was shot multiple times at close range after reaching for a notepad. More than 200 officers from different agencies across Tampa Bay poured into the city to take part in the massive manhunt for Nicholas Lindsay. He was eventually caught but denied killing Officer Crawford.
I did not do it, and I'm telling you, I did not do it. Who did it?
Until his parents were called into the interrogation room. They hold him whilst he breaks down in tears.
It's gonna be okay, son. It's gonna be okay, son.
And tried to get him to come clean.
You got to tell the truth, son.
We right here. I was not there.
Lindsay keeps repeating that he wasn't there.
We're trying to help you.
This is our point.
You need to talk to us.
The camera in the interrogation room cuts out, but when the audio comes back, you can tell that the parents have convinced him what to do.
You're doing the right thing right now. You're owning up to your responsibility. It's okay, son. This is the price we pay for the things we do.
But as you'll see in the sentencing, Nicholas Lindsay's remorse was short-lived. Once he found out, he was sentenced to life in jail. You can see the sadistic grin on his face, despite knowing he's spending the rest of his life behind bars. Officer Crawford's daughter had this to say.
Justice was served, and I'm glad it's over, and it just kind of proves to me that he's an animal as he sat there smiling.
And even his own mum had little to say after seeing his reaction.
It's what the judge ordered, so that's what it is. It is what it is.
This is Jacob Morgan, when he received his life sentence for starting the fire that killed his little stepbrother. On the 26th of October 2021, Jacob set his residence ablaze and killed his own brother Joshua Alexander Hill in the process. He was then charged with the killing of his sibling and was sentenced to 15 years behind bars. Jacob Morgan is clearly fully aware of his stupid mistake, which has cost an innocent life and ruined many others. You can just tell by the way that this teen is reacting that he completely regrets his reckless decision.
That's an extreme recklessness, and that's intent, that's maliciousness, that's a definition of madness.
As he starts praying and crying whilst the judge delivers his ruling.
He has to take responsibility.
The judge, however, showed little sympathy, instead giving Jacob a harsh lesson in reality with a life sentence.
So therefore, I am going to find that there is probable cause to charge the individual with the found over for General Sessions Court for what charges.
You can see the terror on his face and hear the pain in his wails as he realizes what's happening. This is a lesson not to play with fire. This is Ky'andra Cooks, an 18-year-old woman who was sentenced to 20 years in state prison for using a dating app to set up a robbery that resulted in the shooting of another teen. Cook and her then boyfriend Kendrick Bass tried to lure Manny Purcell and a friend using a dating app to South Daytona. Manny Purcell was expecting to go to South Daytona for a good time. Instead, he got shot and carjacked. Neither Kendrick nor Ky'andra could escape the long arm of the law and ended up going to court for their crimes. Here we see Ky'andra approaching the bench to give her statement before awaiting her sentencing.
I just want to say that I'm sorry to the people wrong that her son had to get shot, because I didn't even know he was going to get shot. My boyfriend and his friends get me to do this. I didn't even know what's going on.
Due to conversations with their defense attorney, both Ky'andra Cooks and her mother were under the impression that she would not be serving any jail time.
Second chance, so I can get out and finish school, and I can put my mama proud, because I want to be her first child to bring home a high school diploma.
So, you can imagine their horror when the judge delivered his verdict of 20 years.
Guilty of all three charges, sentenced to 20 years in state prison.
As Circuit Judge Matthew Foxman read the sentence, Ky'andra Cook's mother dropped to the floor and wailed. The House of of grief from Cook's mother was so loud that the judge had to later restate the sentencing for the clerk. Ky'andra, seeing her mother fall to the floor with emotion, finally realizes the gravity of the situation she's in, and then breaks down herself. This is Danta Wright. Wright is one of 3 teens to have been charged in the death of Jordan Clee, who was found dead on October 4th, 2016, on a pathway near the Pine Lake Village on Ann Arbor's west side. Wright, Jamarius Ellison, and Delreno Gracie were accused of attempting to steal controlled substances, clothes, and/or shoes, according to court records. Jordan Clee was ambushed by the 3 men as they tried to steal his items. Jordan, being a strong athlete, resisted, which is when Wright shot Jordan in the back of the head, ending his promising life. At Danta's trial, we hear a statement written by Jordan's mother, who is absolutely distraught.
Jordan Michael Clee, born July 26, 1998. Murdered October 4th, 2016, at 18 years old.
Watch as Danta smirks and smiles while the statements are read.
I've lost laughter and love. I no longer have the hope of having grandchildren. I've lost the enjoyment of holidays and birthdays and of everyday life.
Danta Wright then delivers his own statement to the courtroom. He seems to have little thought for anyone or anything.
I just want to tell y'all, I'll be home soon. R.I.P. Keon. I love my family.
Danta, however, did himself no favors with the judge, who looked down on the defendant's actions in court and almost pulled his entire plea deal.
But watching you sit there, smile, laugh, and shake your head like this was no big deal, I'm very tempted to just say, I'm not going to accept this sentence agreement. We'll go to trial, and if you're convicted of felony murder, you'll go to prison for the rest of your life. That means you'll die there.
Danta's defense lawyer tried to claim that the reactions were not supposed to be offensive.
His smiling was in no way meant as disrespectful either to the family, to the victim, or to this court.
We don't think anyone is buying that. Given his reactions, it's probably a good thing that Danta received a 25 to 52-year sentence. Someone with this little remorse is sure to strike again if given the opportunity.